Yo, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wasn't open that mouth. Sure that she's talking and open that mouth. If it say something, we're going it out. And then there's something it out. And then it's got and it's part of this nothing.
And now from an undisclosed location, you are now tuned in to the Xander Effect with host Xander Dames.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Xander Effect. I'm your host, Xander Dames, along with my two wonderful co-hosts, Mr. Birthday Boy. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, shut up.
Jeremy Miller here. Well, how old are you? What, 600?
666. Thank
awesome.
You.
Nice. That's a great number to be. And also our other lovely co-host here, Miss Lonni Rivera. Lonni, how you doing?
Doing great, guys. Great to be here. How are ya?
Nice.
Hi, Lonni.
Hey.
And yeah, so I mean, it's great to have everybody here. You know, get to have everybody listening in. You know, to the show that pretty much has too many shenanigans to count. We talk about entertainment, sports, and video game news. Occasionally, we have guests drop by to say hello, and of course, we play a lot of great music. So you're in for a treat as usual on the Xander Effect. And yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about besides Jeremy turning 666.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Jeremy.
Thank you, Lonni. I appreciate it. You're so much kinder than he is.
Well, she likes you more. I don't. I tolerate you as much as I can.
The feeling's mutual, buddy.
Right. So, but yeah, I mean, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. And, you know, to start us off here, Lonni, you found a very interesting piece of entertainment news. I mean, we're going to dive into entertainment news, but this piece actually interested me a lot when you sent it to me, involving how Scott Baio is getting some shade by who exactly? By an old Full House, star?
Oh, from my baby. He's my crush for a long time. I know he has a woman now and he has a baby and everything.
He's everybody's crush. Are you kidding me? Everyone in America loves him when he's on there. Uncle Jesse? Come on now.
I love me some John Stamos. So this is kind of funny. I was just browsing a couple of the entertainment sites real quickly, and Xander and I were talking about it. So Happy Days is doing a virtual reunion show in Wisconsin. And the reason why they're doing it is we all know that Wisconsin is a key state in this election. Mm-hmm. So all of the former castmates of Happy Days, it appears most of them are leaning toward Biden, except for one, which would be Scott Baio, Chachi. And he is the only person who will not be part of this virtual reunion. So instead of Chachi, John Stamos has decided that he would be more than happy to replace him. And so this is a really funny story to me because, I mean, first of all, when I think of it, I'm just thinking in terms of a chick, hotness. Back in the day, Chachi was hot. I got to give it to Scott Baio. Back in the day, before he grew up and we know who he is now, he was a hottie. Other than Henry Winkler, who, by the way, let me do a shout out for Emerson College, my alumni, because he is part of our distinguished alum. Yeah. But anyway, they're going to be doing this reunion, and John Stamos has said that he'd be more than happy to step in, and it's already drawing some shade from Chachi, saying, basically, kind of, I've got to look up his words exactly, Scott Baio's words, but
I'm pretty sure it wasn't. I'm pretty sure they weren't. Kind words. I'm assuming.
Yeah, this is what he says. This is what Hollywood has come to. #shameful. Liberals are desperate. So basically he's saying that Stamos is desperate. In my opinion, hey, I give it to the Full House star for jumping into it. An opportunity for him. So why not? So anyway, that's the latest story, and it's all leading up to the election, which is less than 2 weeks away, right, guys?
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing. I just what happened to Chachi? I mean, come on. What happened to Charles? Okay, it's all new and low. Jeremy, can you weigh in on this? I mean, what happened Scott, come on.
I honestly, when it comes, Scott and I don't talk politics. We go back a very long way, and I've been a part of his charity organization for his daughter for a very long time, and it's not a subject I discuss with him or his wife, because we have very, 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 very different beliefs and ways of looking at things, and I respect Scott for making the choice not to do it. If that's what he believes, fine. But if you're going to choose not to do it because of your political beliefs, then you really don't have any reason to bitch if somebody steps up to fill in your place.
Right.
That's pretty basic. You chose not to be a part of this. So what's your problem?
Damn.
You had an opportunity. You could have done this.
Yep.
So you chose not to. That's it. That's the end of the argument right there. But he's been very, very, very verbal. He's one of the first celebrities, or people with a name who really stepped up publicly and started backing Trump back before, the 2016 election. And he's taken a lot of flack for it. He's gotten death threats. He's had to get security for his family. He's had a lot of issues with it, but it was his belief. He chose to go to the forefront for it. And, unfortunately, it's just gotten worse and worse. I'm not criticizing Scott in particular for it. It's happening all over the country. Literally people on the left, people on the right, everybody has gotten so vicious and so vehement. I mean,
the country's divided.
It's completely divided, and you know me. I'm still a balanced guy. I'm still a guy who wants to work with everybody, talk to everybody, and
except for me.
Well, yeah, but I've had to put up with you for so long. Can anybody blame me?
You can't quit me. You just can't quit me, bro. Okay,
don't go there.
No, but it's crazy because you're totally right, Jeremy, and it sucks that we're living in this type of environment currently. And it gets even worse. It gets even worse when elections come. That's why I've been saying it for the longest time. I cannot wait for this election to be over with already, so we could finally find out where we're going to be at. Like, what's the next 4 years going to look like? How's it going to be? Some sort of projection. Some sort of something. Right? Because right now we're in limbo. I mean, granted, the coronavirus couldn't have hit at an election year, but it has. And right now, it just seems like everything is in chaos, complete, utter chaos. Whether you're right wing, whether you're left wing, doesn't matter. It's chaotic right now, and it's hit every single facet of the entertainment industry. You have division in the entertainment industry. Something that, to be honest, I never thought I'd see. I thought, actors, they all stick together, they all, band together. But no, there's definitely division amongst them as well. And it's crazy to see. It's, you'd think that actors would be neutral or would remain neutral or at least not be so vocal. But I mean, actors have been encouraged to use their popularity, their fame, to go ahead and endorse to go ahead and endorse politics. And that's something that it's a very thin line, because if you're, for example, if you're Scott Baio, and you endorse one side, the other side's going to hate you. You're going to lose fans. But they don't care, apparently. Until it starts hurting their pockets, that's when they start caring. So it's one of those things. And likewise goes for the other side too. If you're John Stamos or any other liberal actor, it's the other side's going to go ahead and basically shun you. It's a double-edged sword, and it's difficult for anybody that's in a position of popularity or anything like that to voice their opinion, because unfortunately you're damned if you are and you're damned if you're not.
Well, here's the thing with that, and Lonni, you being, having the background you do, you can comment on this as well. But, the fact is, The fact is, actors, entertainers, musicians, they have all been encouraged for so long to use their platform, their popularity to make a difference, to do something good, to help out with worldwide issues, things affecting many, many people. As Xander said, there is a thin line between that and then becoming more vocal in politics and so on. But as an entertainer, you really are damned if you do, damned if you don't. If there is an issue that you feel strongly about and you don't speak up and stand up and say something, you are then ridiculed. You are then a coward. You are then, you know, but if you do stand up, well, you're a Hollywood lib. You're a this, that, you know, you are completely damned if you do, damned if you don't. And people want to know, you know, why aren't you talking up about the homeless situation? Why aren't you talking up about, you know, the racial injustice? Why aren't you talking? And no matter what you do, no matter what you say, you're going to be wrong. If you stay silent, you're wrong. If you speak, you're wrong. It's an absolute rock and a hard place.
It really is. And you know what? I'm really big on letting people be true to who you are. So there is a part of me that appreciates Scott Baio for keeping it real. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't share the same beliefs as him. I appreciate him for just keeping it real, because nowadays it isn't popular to support the man who's in office right now. It is not a popular thing, and so
it depends on who you are. It depends on where you lean towards. You know,
say in Hollywood. In Hollywood, it's not popular.
True.
So for someone to work, I don't know what Scott's doing now, you guys, but to work in the entertainment business and to be conservative in your views when it, and lean more
to be outspoken conservative.
Yeah, being outspoken. It's not a popular thing right now, because I do think there are a lot of people probably in the closet who are just afraid to talk about it because things are so divisive right now. So just the fact that he is outspoken about it, I mean, I kind of like, it makes things interesting because there aren't that many people speaking out the way that he is, as outspoken as he is.
I mean, it's at the end of the day, I mean, you have to have an opinion, and he shared his. We know his opinion. We know exactly what his opinion is and where, he stands. And it's I mean, it's an opinion. It's not a popular one, obviously, but for him to go ahead and for Scott Baio to go ahead and just go and just pretty much throw shade back. I mean, come on, that's that's being a little bit childish. I mean, that's the only thing I don't like about these when it comes to politics, the bashing of each political stance, like whether you're left, whether you're right. I mean, the right calls, the left libertards, the left calls the right Trump-tards. I mean, it's just stupid bashing going back and forth. It makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, and it's like, you know what? Just you stand for your political opinion, go for it. That's fine. But there's no need to be name calling each other.
Right.
I mean, you don't agree. Fine. No one's ever going to agree on anything. That's never going to happen. If you think that that's actually going to happen, think again. That's never going to happen. I mean, you have another person that also got shunned a little bit in the entertainment industry, which is James Woods. James Woods is a hardcore Republican, and kind of from what I understand, from what I heard, he's kind of a jerk too in real life.
I will have a comment on that. There are a lot of well-known conservative actors and actresses. There are a lot of people who it's a very well-known fact that is kind of how they lean. That is who they have supported. James Woods in particular has always been very vocal, but James Woods has always been very vocal about everything. He's a very abrasive person. Many people would call him a dick. Has many stories throughout the industry of people not being very happy with working with him. While he is a brilliant actor who I've loved in many things,
agreed,
I have never heard a lot of great stories from people who worked with him. So, and I don't mean as being a bad person, just being a very aggressive, very confrontational type person. And so him speaking out and being so vocal doesn't really shock me. He's always been kind of in your face.
Well, I mean, and that's the reason why so many people can't stand the guy on social media from what I've seen. There's a lot of people that have pretty much told him to, go F himself and this, that, and the other. So, I mean, but in this particular case involving Scott Baio, I mean, it's just, famous words, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And like I said, if they chose to exclude him for that reason, I could see why he'd be upset.
Of course, yeah.
But they're raising money, you guys, for the Wisconsin Democratic Party. I'm thinking Scott probably doesn't want to raise money for that party with this reunion.
Which I absolutely understand, but unfortunately he's in the minority with that cast and the people who are trying to put it together. Again, I can see where that would be. They probably knew he would not be a part of it with them doing that. I mean, that's got to be pretty obvious considering his stance has been so cut and dry. But again, it's still his choice at the end of the day not to be a part of it.
Right.
But I mean, it's one of those things too that I also look at it is that they knew that he wasn't going to be a part of it. And so why go ahead and do something like that where you know that one of the main characters of an iconic historic television series was obviously not going to be a part of that because of his political stance.
True, but Xander, I'll just play the devil's advocate with that. Why not move forward with it? Why let one person keep you if you're passionate? And I don't know these people, so I'm just going to say I don't know where they all really stand. But why let one castmate keep you from raising money during one of the most important elections of our time in a battleground state?
And I have to ask, do we know, is Henry going to be a part of this? Is Henry Winkler going to be a part of this?
I think so.
Because here's the thing. Henry is one of those lifelong Hollywood conservatives that I've been talking about.
Oh, wow.
Now, he's not a hardcore right-winger or anything like that, but he has been a fairly well-known conservative guy for a long time. So I'd be very interested to hear if he is involved because, again, whether you're conservative or not does not mean you support Trump or don't.
Right.
I would imagine.
And kind of along with that, you guys, which this kind of ties in to this story in the sense that because a lot of people who were conservative, a lot of actors and people in the entertainment business who did lean more conservative, who voted for McCain, have changed their stance. One of them being, which just came out today, Jennifer Lawrence has been very, very vocal about it. She said Donald Trump's presidency has changed her policies. Then she voted for McCain. But after Donald Trump, and though her fiscal, from what I read, her fiscal policies, what she supports, leans more conservative. Socially is what she's been most concerned about.
And I think I don't mean to cut you off here, Lonni, but I think that's what a lot of people are mainly leaning towards is the social impact of this presidential seat. And they've seen that in the past 4 years, obviously this president has divided socially a lot of people, in this country. And that's what a lot of people are still kind of fearful of, that this will continue for another 4 years and it'll get worse as the years go by.
Oh, to answer your question, Jeremy, this is according to a couple of articles I'm seeing online. Henry Winkler, Fonzie, is one of the original stars who's set to take part in this on Sunday.
I had a feeling. I had a feeling he would. I mean,
I absolutely love to hear that. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, how can you have Happy Days without Fonzie? There's no way. There's no way. Hey, I mean, you can't have it without Fonzie.
Let me say as well, and again, this is not in any way being mean to Scott, but although Chachi was an important character later in the show, Chachi was not an original character.
True.
Chachi was an add-in. And I can tell you from our show, Ashley Johnson, who played Chrissy, our little sister, who was an add-in at the end of our run the last 3 years, is regularly left out of these kinds of things because she was not an original cast member. When they talk about reunion things, not reboots, but like just these little reunion things like that, or the, 35th anniversary type things, and she's never invited. I was one of the only cast members who always kind of fought for her to be included, but the producers of these things, they never wanted her as a part of it because she wasn't one of the original members. I didn't agree with that. I didn't like it, but that's just the way it was. So I can see where maybe they're a little more willing to move forward without him, because although he was an important character, he was not an original character.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, but it still sucks, though. I mean, every time you tell me that Ashley's not included, it's like, really? That's just not right. I mean,
told you I don't like it. I have been the one who every single time asked the producers, have you contacted Ashley? Could we include her in the? And I run up against a brick wall every single time.
Well, that's a story. That's a whole different story for another time on that. Interesting story on the whole Scott Baio and the whole reunion thing. That's definitely a very, very interesting and yet kind of sad story too, because I mean, unfortunately, Chachi, the original Chachi, is not going to be on there. But let's go ahead and wish that group well this Sunday. John Stamos will probably do a great job playing that role. So that'll be interesting to see. But we do have a lot of other entertainment news coming up, starting with Fast and Furious franchise to end with 11th film, and Justin Lin is directing. We'll talk a little bit about that. In sports, the Dodgers continue to, head even further into the World Series as they win Game 1 against the Tampa Bay Rays. We'll talk a little bit about that. And in video game news, Assassin's Creed gets DLC. They will be getting one of the DLCs is going to be including a trip to both France and Italy, I believe. Or I'm sorry, to both Ireland and Paris. So that's going to be interesting right there. We'll talk a little bit about that. But first, let's start the show off right with a little bit of Finally from CeCe Peniston right here on the Xander Effect.
We're Yo, this is JSON, and you're listening to the Xander Effect. Why don't you guys tune in and tap in for me one time?
Give me a rush, 'cause I'm fighting for a way to make me feel alive. I'm turning to dust. Can you find a way to make our perfect worlds collide? Lost in the dark, we are drifting around, so close to the shore, but we always seem to drown. Oh. Just take my hand, I'll let you lead the way, no matter how far, 'cause with you I wanna stay. Let's run away, run away. Let's move to the sound of palm trees. Only rhythm is a pounding heartbeat. Getting down in the sand, you on me, you on me, you on me. Let's move to the sound of palm trees. Only rhythm is a pounding heartbeat. Getting down in the sand, you on me, you on me, on me. You on me, you on me, you on me, you on me. You on me, you on me, you on me. Like a silent scream when you're breaking down my walls, the way you make me feel. Kinda hard to believe, but you whisper to me this is how it's meant to be. I'm not afraid, got my head in the game. We're lighting it up, watch the spark turn into flames. Oh. I used to be lost, but now I found my way. Yeah, we can go far just as long as you're with me. Let's run away, run away. Let's move to the sound of palm trees. Only rhythm is a pounding heartbeat. Getting down in the sand, you on me, you on me, you on me. Let's move to the sound of palm trees. Only rhythm is a pounding heartbeat. Getting down in the sand, you on me, you on me, on me. You on me, you on me, you on me, you on me. You on me, you on me, you on me. Lost in the dark, we are drifting around, so close to the shore, but we always seem to drown. Just take my hand, I'll let you lead the way, no matter how far, 'cause with you I wanna stay. Let's move to the sound of palm trees. Only rhythm is a pounding heartbeat. Getting down in the sand, you on me, you on me, you on me. Let's move to the sound of palm trees. Only rhythm is a pounding heartbeat. Getting down in the sand, you on me, you on me, on me. You on me, you on me, you on me, you on me.
That was Carina Dahl's You On Me, right here on the Xander Effect. In entertainment news, looks like the Fast and the Furious franchise will be coming to an end after the 10th and 11th and final films are done, and Justin Lin will be directing both of them. Now, Justin Lin has directed many of the other Fast and the Furious films. He directed the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 9th Fast and the Furious films. So it's a long time running, but looks like Dominic Toretto is finally going to pull over in his vehicle and walk away from the racing circuit. We're going to have to find out how that goes. Obviously, the 10th film was supposed to premiere this year, but unfortunately, because of coronavirus, they had to go ahead and postpone the premiere of the movie, which stars Vin Diesel and John Cena. John Cena plays Dominic Toretto's brother. which is very interesting. Actually, I'm curious to see exactly how that whole thing transpired. But yeah, it's definitely a movie to watch, and it finally comes to an end. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that the Fast and the Furious franchise is coming to an end, because there will be spin-offs of different characters. Obviously, we already saw one spinoff, which is Hobbs and Shaw, starring Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham, which I freaking love. That movie was hilarious and awesome to watch. Also the villain, Idris Elba, was in that one, and he did an incredible job as a villain. So it's they definitely know what they're doing when it comes to spin-offs. Not many people could pull it off, but the Fast and the Furious franchise definitely are able to. So I'm curious to see what other spin-offs they're going to kind of pull out of the Fast and the Furious. I mean, there was also, we got to remember one other thing too. I don't know if anybody saw the movie Bad Boys for Life, but spoiler alert, just in case you haven't seen it. But at the end, we find out that Will Smith's character, Mike Lowry, has a son, and in the end credits, it seems that he's going to recruit his son to help him fight crime, I guess. So they might want to. That could be a spinoff to a different movie involving Mike Lowry's son, and just continue on the Bad Boys franchise from there. Obviously, the television series spinoff, which was called LA's Finest, got the axe from Fox, which starred Jessica Alba and Gabrielle Union. And Gabrielle Union, we all know, she played Marcus, which is Martin's sister. His sister actually in the Bad Boys, in Bad Boys 2. So she got her own spinoff called LA's Finest with Jessica Alba, but that was canceled, unfortunately. So it didn't do too well. So I don't know. Who knows if after that spinoff they might be hesitant on doing another one on Bad Boys. But definitely they're going to be doing spinoffs off of the Fast and the Furious franchise, which I think is pretty cool actually, because you got to love that crazy action-packed type of movie.
People love it. It's run for a long time. I've caught a couple of them here and there. I have to say, though, I miss Paul Walker, so I'm not as excited about it as when I knew that he was involved in it. God rest his soul. So it is what it is. I do think there'll be spinoffs for sure.
I'm going to have to be negative Nelly here.
Of course you are. Why does that not surprise me ever?
Well, it's, me, man. I'm a big fan of original work, and to me, they were beating a dead horse 3 movies before Paul passed away, and now without him, they're still beating a dead horse. I've been done with this franchise for a while. I have not seen anything that they've done. I've watched them, but I haven't seen anything that I enjoyed in many, many, many years. I know a lot of people love it. Of course, they're making money hand over fist with this franchise, so why would they stop? But as a fan, I'm just like, dear Lord, do something else, please. Please.
Well, did you like Hobbs and Shaw?
It was okay. It was fine.
Wow, you didn't even like Hobbs and Shaw? That's a spinoff. That's not even part of the Fast and Furious franchise.
It was all right. it was what it was. It was a goofy action film. It was nothing special to me. How
can you not like fast, freaking awesome vehicles that they use and everything? Granted, I'll be honest with one thing.
I'm sorry. I like story. I like
they
great
do
acting
overkill it. Yes, I know.
I like the things that make film great. There's a place for action films, but dear Lord, come on already.
Yes, I know. They tend to go ahead and instead of story, they fill it with a lot of action adventure, which is kind of annoying. I won't deny that. But still, it's fun to watch.
Like I said, there's obviously a reason people are still going and they're still making them. I just don't see. It's just not for me at this point. I was a big fan of.
I would be curious to know. Most of their viewers or supporters, are they guys in a certain age period who love just seeing somebody driving these amazing cars? You know what I mean? I'm just curious to know who is going primarily to see the Fast and Furious movies? Is it families, young guys?
Nah, definitely not families. We're talking about young people, guys. You know, I mean, that's what I've seen in the movie theaters whenever I go. And of course, you have the ladies that go watch. Well, some of the ladies go and watch because of the cars and everything. Some others go and watch because of the people that are starring in it.
The hotness, yeah,
exactly. So I mean, it's half and half on that one. But yeah, it's definitely, I don't know. I guess because the stories have gotten kind of crazy. I'm just morbid curiosity. I want to see why suddenly Dominic Toretto has a brother. Where has this guy been in the past few franchises? I also heard too that they were going to have Paul Walker's brother, one of his brothers that looks exactly like him, play the part of his character in the movie, and of Brian, and so I'm curious to see that as well, to see if they're actually going to do that. I mean, if they do, I'm curious to see the reaction of the crowd.
Mm-hmm. You got to be real careful doing that. You got to be real careful anytime you do something like that.
You have to be very sensitive about that.
It could come across as manipulative. Yeah,
it's kind of interesting that they were even talking about that, because I'm just like, how are the people going to react when they see that? Like, what kind of emotional, God, what's the word I'm looking for? Emotional reaction are they going to get from the audience seeing somebody that looks exactly like somebody that just passed away? And it's crazy too, because I'll never forget the day that it happened too, because it turns out that the guy that was driving the vehicle where Paul passed away, he was actually a former friend of a cousin of mine. Roger Rodas was the driver, and I was, when he told me about it, I was like, you got to be kidding me. He's like, yeah, he's a friend of mine. And I was like, was he always into vehicles? He's like, yeah, him and his family, they always were into cars and this, that, and the other. And apparently his family kind of, as soon as they reached some sort of level of fame, they kind of stopped talking to them, and which kind of sucks too. I'm like, that's kind of messed up. But that's their side of the story. That's what they say. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy that we heard of such a talented person pass away in such a tragic way. But to have him being replaced, or not really replaced, but have a stand-in that looks like him, that's going to be kind of strange for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just weird.
For me, it's... if they decided to move forward with that, I can't really understand what they're doing from a filmmaker's perspective. If you have a character who, let's say Paul Walker had chosen to walk away from the franchise for a bit, you do this kind of thing and you bring back a central star. Right. But you've spent 2 movies now moving away from his character because you had to. And now you're going to bring that character back kind of out of nowhere just to bring his brother in to do this kind of, I don't know, nostalgic kind of a thing. I don't know. I don't like it. It seems like they're just trying to throw that in for no... I mean, it doesn't seem to fit. It doesn't seem to fit the narrative of what they were trying to do with the films. And to me, you don't do that with a lookalike. If you're going to... You bring back a character because you can bring back that character. So... That's just not something they can do because Paul is not with us anymore. So I don't really like this move. It doesn't make sense to me as a filmmaker.
I mean, we'll just have to see and find out to see if they actually will go through with this, or if they already have. We'll I mean, we still have to see the new movie and see if they reference Brian or if they, have maybe a telephone conversation. Because again, a lot of in the Fast Furious 9, the latest installment of the franchise, they did have Paul Walker's brother do a lot of stand-ins because Paul Walker actually died in the middle of filming.
Right.
And they needed a lot of stand-ins. They need to like rearrange a lot, which they did a great job of that too.
That's a different thing, and that's great that they were able to do that, to be able to finish the production that he had been a part of. But again, now that they've moved past that, just bringing him back, it feels very, very forced.
Well, I guess we're going to have to find out as soon as the Fast and Furious 10, airs. I think it's next year that they postponed it to next year. And of course, Fast and Furious 11, right after that, that's going to be the last one. I'm curious to see how it all ends. So we'll have to find out about that. In other entertainment news, looks like Willow is getting a sequel series, and Disney Plus said it's officially a go. John M. Chu is set to direct. Ron Howard is actually going to be involved in this project as well. He's executive producer, alongside original star Harwick Davis is also going to be the executive producer, and Harwick is also reprising his role as Willow Youthgood. So that's going to be interesting. And I mean, here's the thing. I'm just seeing this from a perspective of Hollywood. You're running out of ideas. That's the bottom line. I mean, you are bringing back movies from the 80s to try to go ahead and put them like they were done for a reason. They were done in its time, and it's time to move on. Time to get something new out. I'm not so sure about this. I'm not too sure. I mean, granted, it's not a reboot, but I don't know. I'm just not too sure about this. I mean, Jeremy, what are your thoughts on this one?
I kind of am leaning towards how you're leaning here. I'm not real sure about this one. It's not that Willow wasn't a great film, but it was a film for its time. And I can't really say that any of my friends from that era have ever said to me, I wonder what Willow's up to now. I mean, I'm sorry. It's never come up. It's not anything anybody's wondering. So why do we need this? Why? Because they've run out of ideas. And in a moment, I'm going to tell you why Disney Plus is on my shit list at the moment. So,
dang!
Wow, like that?
Oh, like that. Okay, let's get into it. For the very first time in the history of Peanuts, The Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown will not be shown on broadcast television because Apple decided it will only be shown on Apple Plus.
I saw that. Yeah, I read about that. I was going to actually talk about that, but I didn't know if you were going to
literally children across the world who have been watching this with their families who have shown this to their kids, to their grandkids, are not going to be able to do it because those greedy bastards decided it can only be shown on Apple Plus.
Wow.
I, as a part of that cast, as a part of that community, I am absolutely offended. It is a absolute travesty. You've taken away a national treasure, something that means a lot to a lot of people. You have taken it away because you are greedy bastards.
Well, tell us how you really feel.
Yeah,
and that was me sugarcoating it. So,
I don't know, Lonni. Did you ever see this movie?
You know what, you guys? I did not. So,
see, Lonnie's too cool for school, guys. Lonnie is way too cool for school. Okay, she's the cool one out of the both of us here.
You're talking about Willow, right?
We're nerds.
No, you're talking about Willow, not the Charlie Brown Christmas.
No, we're talking about
Willow. Okay, yeah, talking about Willow, because Charlie Brown Christmas, I agree with Jeremy. That's a classic. Like, everyone should see that.
It's Great Pumpkin.
It's a Great Pumpkin. Oh, my bad. That one too.
Yeah, and everybody. But she did. But see, Jeremy, she didn't see Willow. We're the only two nerds here.
I didn't see Willow, but you guys, since you guys were talking about it, because this is just the journalist in me, I looked up what it was about and everything. I remember it, and I'm looking up, and I'm like, oh, this sounds really cool. It's about the theme centers around believing in your own will and your power and inner magic. So you know what? I actually probably would go see it.
Well, I mean, you can actually rent it, I think, because it's a lady movie too. So it's like,
you know, and unlike Jeremy, you know, hating on Disney Plus, I'm loving Disney Plus right now because of Black is King, Beyonce's Black is King, which, by the way, I absolutely loved.
The Mandalorian. I love The Mandalorian.
Yeah, so, you know.
But then again, I'm a Star Wars nerd. What can I say? Again, I'm a nerd, okay? Don't judge me. Only Jeremy can judge me. And he judges me all the time. So
it's my job.
Exactly. So no, but I mean, well, like I said, it's so far it's a go for Willow on Disney Plus, and I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what kind of reviews it gets once it's done and it's out there. And I'm still not too sure about that one, but we'll see what happens. In other entertainment news, this is a funny one. Miley Cyrus says that she was chased by a UFO and made eye contact with an alien that really, quote, effed her up. She was on. She had a chat with Rick Owens for interview on Monday, and she basically opened up about her belief in alien life forms. She said, "quote I was driving through San Bernardino with my friend, and I got chased down by some sort of UFO. I'm pretty sure." This is the funny part. "I'm pretty sure about what I saw, but I'd also bought weed wax from a guy in a van in front of a taco shop, so it could have been the weed wax."
You think?
She goes on to say, "But the best way to describe it is a flying snowplow." Miley, you think maybe you were staring at an actual snowplow?
Drugs are a hell of a thing.
Wow.
I mean,
Jiminy Christmas.
I mean, she went in and she continued on. "It had this big plow in the front of it and was glowing yellow. I did see it flying, and my friend saw it too. There were a couple of other cars on the road, and they also stopped to look. So I think what I saw was real. I was shaken for like 5 days. It effed me up." Yeah.
All I'm saying is, okay, Miley. That's all.
There's not much you can say to that. I mean, I am not a alien person, but I am also a person who believes that you'd have to be fairly arrogant. Say that we are absolutely the only life form in this gigantic universe of ours.
Yeah.
I think that's a rather arrogant point of view. I allow for the possibility because the sheer infiniteness of every of our universe is just amazing. So
same here. Yeah.
But
my first job. Go on, Jeremy.
No, I was just gonna say, but I'm not I mean, I have friends who are very, very into that world.
Oh yeah, my sister is. She's in her life. She's seen probably UFOs. She sees UFOs every day. And I'm not going to say that she doesn't see them. Who am I to say she hasn't seen them? I agree with you.
I mean, there's also it still goes on though, guys.
Oh Lord.
Oh, there's more?
Oh yeah.
Man.
She continues to say, quote, "I didn't feel threatened at all, actually, but I did see a being sitting in the front of the flying object. It looked at me and we made eye contact. And I think that's what really shook me, looking into the eyes of something that I couldn't quite wrap my head around." Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But wow. You know what? You know what's funny about this whole situation is that actually over the weekend, Demi Lovato also took to Instagram to describe a trip that she had to the desert, resulting in making contact with aliens as well. And she went ahead and she said, quote, "Over the past couple of months, I have dug deep into the science of consciousness and experienced not only peace and serenity like I've never known, but I also have witnessed the most incredibly profound sightings both in the sky as well as feet away from me."
Wow.
This is starting to get kind of like, what?
Well,
They're starting to sound like those crazy people that got abducted by aliens. Like it's funny because my mom, God rest her soul, she used to say to me, "Do you honestly think that if a person was abducted, that they would real people that have really been abducted would actually go out and say anything about that? They would think that they're crazy. Come on, right? Doesn't make any sense." But apparently, I don't know. Jeremy, what are your thoughts?
When I hear the words science of consciousness, the first thing I think is, okay, what hallucinogenics were you on? I'm just being serious because
Demi can't be on anything like that because she actually just she got clean because she overdosed not too long ago. So she's actually clean.
Let me point something out here. While she might be clean from whatever she was dealing with, there are multiple ways of thinking right now, especially with this school of consciousness type stuff, that people use hallucinogenics in detox. People use hallucinogenics in treatments. They're actually doing a study right now, and it's actually showing a lot of results is they're treating schizophrenia and other mental diseases with psilocybin from hallucinogenic from mushrooms. There is a whole school of thought on this school of consciousness stuff, and it derives from the Timothy Leary, Albert Hoffman, all those guys back in the 60s, and that expanding the consciousness of, the inner journey, all that hippie stuff. So it still goes on. It still is a popular theory and thought process. And I have friends who, I've been in recovery for a long time. I have friends who are in recovery who go and do peyote ceremonies. Real peyote ceremonies with a tribe in the tent, in the whole thing. You
mean like the sweat?
Yes, there's a whole school of thought that hallucinogenics tap into something primal in us.
Yeah.
I actually always want to try that too, to be honest.
Jeremy, Gwyneth Paltrow, I forgot the name of her show that came on Netflix or one of the channels where she had like this series, and one of the segments they did was on this very subject where they had, a bunch of hippie folks who were willing to try it. They made sure that it was just the right amount, where they had someone witness what they went through, and it was part of their journey in healing some trauma. They actually were using it to attack or address some trauma in their lives. So you're absolutely right. I just want to say this real quickly, you guys. Fun fact: when you're talking about UFOs, my very first job offer I got in the news business reporting, I didn't take it because I ended up getting another job that was closer to family. Was a reporter job in Roswell, New Mexico.
Really? Oh wow, that's interesting.
Oh wow.
And I always think back to think, had I taken that job, like. How would things,
and what kind of rabbit hole might you have gone down?
Exactly.
Or what would you have found in that rabbit hole?
Very true.
Wow, that's interesting. No, I gotta say that I've had very, very interesting experiences myself. I haven't gotten abducted, and I've never seen an alien in my face or anything like that.
You were probed. We know it.
You know what? That hurts. In more ways than one.
Did it?
No, but I've seen strange things in the skies. I have. I used to live in Bakersfield, California.
Oh yeah.
Which is called the armpit of California, actually.
Oh yeah.
And out there, like since it's a small town, you could actually see the night sky. And I lived in a very small town that was outside of the main city of Bakersfield. It was it was called Greenfield. And Greenfield, it was like right before you actually got into the actual city. So, and Greenfield was exactly that. It was a green field. There was nothing out there. So you could see the night sky clearly. It's like you could see the stars, everything beautiful at night. So one night, my dad and I, we were walking because we used to live in a cul-de-sac. And we were walking up the street, and all of a sudden I look up and I see something like a fireball. It could have been a meteor, could have been something weird, but it just looks so like it looked metallic.
Wow.
As the flame was coming through into the atmosphere, and I was like, "What the heck was that?" You know. And then there was another time where my mom also she had seen an object in the sky. She pointed it out to me, and I saw it too. I mean, there's been a lot of unexplained phenomena. I actually recently, about a month and a half ago or so, I filmed something and I posted it on my social media on Instagram of an object in the sky that was just stationary. It just stood there. It didn't go anywhere. And you know, you could go ahead and say maybe it was a drone, but it was it was really far for it to be a drone. I don't know how high drones go, but this was pretty freaking far. And it was
a weather balloon.
You think? I don't know. It could have been. I don't know, Mr. Freaking. You sure you don't work for the government? You're trying to go ahead and put up excuses. It was just
would I tell you if I did?
Well, you would tell me, but then you'd have to kill me, right?
Well, I've been wanting to do that for years, so I'd have shared that information a long time ago.
The love is here, folks. The love is truly here. So if I disappear, now you know. A confession right there.
Yeah, right there. I'm the one to come look for.
We got all this stuff to talk about besides aliens at this point. Coming up next in sports news, the Dodgers are definitely trying to get that World Series title. We'll talk a little bit about that. But first, here is Amanda Holley's Get It Boy right here on the Xander Effect.
Tripping, you stay up on my mind. The reason that my heart beats. If you leave off that line, we got such a connection. Just let the stars align. Baby, make a wish and close your eyes. I don't wanna miss this now. I don't wanna let this go. Something I just wanna know. Tell me what you're wishing for. You pull up the whip, it's for me. You take me on trips to Dubai, but they don't compare to the feelings that you got me feeling.
listening to the Xander Effect. Oh boy.
I'm walking down the country road, guitar in my hand. I'm always thinking to myself, will I be a famous man? Well, I'm tired of scraping for a living, I don't like it anymore. When my paycheck grosses 48 and I take home 24. You and I, we work all day, turn our daily bread. When you come home, you watch TV and then you're off to bed. You toss and turn all night long and wake up on the floor. And your wife says, what's the matter? I say, don't want to work no more. No, I don't want to work anymore. I don't like going to work at 6 and coming home at 4. No, I don't want to work anymore. When my paycheck grosses 48 and I take home 24. And coming home at 4. No, I don't want to work anymore. When my paycheck grosses 48 and I take home 24.
That was Frank Mullin, Don't Want to Work, right here on the Xander Effect. In sports, the Dodgers are definitely not wanting to back down. They want that title. They want it bad. And they're gonna get it. I have a feeling they're gonna get it. But the thing is that I'm a little bit concerned because they only beat Tampa Bay 8-3. That wasn't necessarily the kind of win that I thought they would have. I mean, it seems like they barely got out of that alive, in my opinion.
What game were you watching?
I'm just saying.
What game were you watching?
8-3. Come on.
8-3 is huge.
Yeah.
You have Clayton Kershaw.
I want more, damn it.
Shut up. Clayton Kershaw came in, pitches 6 brilliant innings, 8 strikeouts. He retires 17 of his last 18 batters. And miracle of miracles, Dave Roberts has actually learned from some of his mistakes and didn't bring him out for the 7th inning.
8-3 to me sounds more like defensive play.
Not even close, dude. We didn't have Mookie having to rob any home runs to save the game or nothing. This was a dominant win from start to finish. It really was. Our offense played long ball and small ball. It was a complete butt kicking.
Do you think that they're going to continue this, though?
That's a good question. Tampa is a really good team. Tampa is almost a carbon copy of the Dodgers, just a little bit less.
You mentioned this before.
It's the truth. That's everything they do strong is what we do strong as well. It's just they're not quite as good at it as we are. So they are overall a brilliant team, but we have that offense, and it showed last night. I do think it'll continue. I think if Dave Roberts manages to stay out of the pitcher's way and continues to learn from his previous mistakes, I think they have a really, really good shot. In fact, I'd be willing to bet, like I said about the Lakers, I'd be willing to bet we win it in 5.
I hope they do. This is kind of a sidebar story. You guys might have heard about this, but speaking of the Lakers, LeBron James is now a LA Dodgers fan. I just put a question mark. There's an article on ESPN because he's rooting for the Dodgers, which is cool, but some people are kind of questioning it because in the past he's rooted for the Yankees.
Well, yeah, he's a bandwagon jumper. That's all. In LA, he's gonna go ahead and be a Dodger fan. Come on,
right.
You're not a real fan if you go ahead and jump the bandwagon like that.
Especially if you're coming from the Yankees. I see your point, Lonnie. That I see why people would have an issue with that. But again, on that flip side, is what do you expect him to do? He's in one of the more. You're a Laker, and you are now being associated with Los Angeles, a place you've only been for 2 years now. But if you don't step up and support that home team, you're going to get that same ridicule from the fans as, why aren't you supporting the Dodgers? Why aren't you, he's going to get backlash either way.
How many, but seriously, Jeremy, how many NBA players that aren't from LA that got traded here get backlash for not supporting another Los Angeles team, though?
How many players are LeBron?
Right.
Good point.
That's the man.
Good point.
Since high school has been followed by every media outlet around. So of course he's going to receive more of that. And the truth is, if we were playing the Yankees, I guarantee you he'd be rooting for the Yankees.
You think?
I think so. I agree with Jeremy. I think so because, at the end of the day, these guys, they're going to support the team that either they're in the same city, playing for or with or whatever,
or the winning team,
or their home team.
Or their
original home team. They're going to support one or the other. Like Jeremy said, if they were playing the Yankees, that'd be a different story. He'd probably be rooting for his home team because that's his original home team. And that's what he would say. Be like, this is my home team. But since my home team isn't in the World Series, I'm going to support the team that I play alongside with here in Los Angeles, which is the Dodgers. So, but still, I just,
It's just funny.
Not going to happen. No, I don't like it. Yeah. No bueno, señor. No bueno, señor. No, go back. Go back to New York. Go ahead and have that right there and have a good time.
Hey, for the record, he's from Ohio, but I guess that's close enough, guys.
Right?
Well, you got to remember, when he was growing up, the Cleveland Indians were just awful. So I can understand why he would have maybe gravitated towards the Yankees.
They tried making a movie about them. That didn't work.
Oh, it was a brilliant film.
It was a great movie. I love the movie. Yeah. The movie was awesome. The team, not so much. But going back to the Dodgers, another side note here is that Cody Bellinger has learned his lesson as far as celebrating home runs with his teammates after he dislocated his shoulder the last time that he celebrated a home run. Now he decided to switch his celebration from a hook arm high five type of thing to now a toe tap. So when he decided to go ahead and do when he had a home run, he celebrated by a toe tap, and I'm like, that's
a gentle toe tap.
A gentle toe tap at that, yeah, because you don't want to go ahead and just smash your toes together because there goes his foot and there goes his run. So,
a lot of people don't know Cody's actually dealt with this shoulder issue for a few years now.
Okay,
he's actually had it dislocated. I think he said 4 or 5 times, and if you know anything about a shoulder dislocation, it happens more and more frequently the more often you've had it dislocated. It just the ligaments get loose, everything it slips out more often. So that's why he said he knew that, oh yeah, I did this, but I was able to still come back in and play the last couple, and he knew how his body would respond to that. But now, again, this is his 4th or 5th dislocation in a few years. He's going to have to do something, because now the slightest little thing is going to be able to push that right out of joint.
I just say in professional sports overall, in any sport, these guys need to be careful with their celebrations. Anytime I see, football players doing, I don't know if we see it as much, used to see them doing flips and stuff like that, until they started giving them a penalty for too much celebration. Anytime I see someone doing that, I'm always thinking, because kind of just the worried mom in me, what if he hurt himself, like his head or his neck or whatever.
Well, I agree with that completely. I mean, just a couple of years ago, it wasn't even that exuberant of a celebration. You had a quarterback and a wide receiver hook up for a touchdown, and then they ran up to each other and did just the classic old school. They both leaped and did the chest bump.
Yeah.
Oh, wide receiver comes down on his foot and breaks his ankle. He's out for the rest of the season.
See?
And it was just a simple, ridiculous little jump up and celebrate thing. So, yeah, I mean, when you're talking about the amount of money that's on the line for your family, the amount of, the amount of prestige and everything else that comes with winning that's on the line for your team, you'd think you'd be a little careful, a little more careful with that stuff.
Your body is your instrument. You can't, you gotta be careful with it.
Wait, was that a Dak Prescott reference?
No, I would not say that was a Dak reference. Leave Dak alone.
Poor guy. I feel bad. I'm glad that he's recovering pretty well, though.
I mean, I may hate the Cowboys
and the Cowgirls.
I absolutely dislike the Cowboys completely, but man, Dak is a good guy. He seems like a really good-hearted guy.
Yeah,
he's amazing.
I don't wish any.
And it's really sad to see.
They may be a rival to the Packers, but I don't wish any of those players any ill will. I don't wish anybody any ill will. So, well, not except for you, Jeremy. But that's beside the point.
Loved.
But it's the kind of ill will that I know you'll be okay with. It'll just leave you scarred.
Emotionally or physically?
Both.
Because I can use a new one on either.
Take your pick. But anyways, well, I mean, we're gonna have to see how the Dodgers keep on going. Game 2 against Tampa Bay is coming up, so we'll see if they continue their winning streak or if Tampa Bay decides to pick up the pace a little bit.
It's going to be a tough one tonight. Blake Snell is their pitcher. He's one of the best pitchers in the league right now. And we got some good arms to go up against him, but tonight could be a tough one. Blake Snell is a great pitcher, and if he's really bringing it, this could be a close one.
We'll have to find out. We'll have to go ahead and watch and find out. So good luck on the Dodgers for today. In other sports news, it seems that Anderson the Spider Silva has confirmed that without a doubt, and this is actually on ESPN Plus 39. It's not that he is 39. He's actually 45 years old. He has announced it that that basically he's retiring from the sport of UFC, from the sport of MMA, I should say, and his record is 34-10 in MMA and 17-6 in the UFC. I mean, this guy was one of the best in sports. And I mean, I gotta say that it's gonna be tough to fill in those shoes, but at 45, it's kind of a tough one. I mean, he hasn't fought since May of last year. And he lost that one against Jared Cannonier. And basically UFC president Dana White had said that, that he basically wanted to gracefully retire Silva. do it gracefully. And it's one of those things where it's tough for the president to actually see somebody have to retire, but when it's time, it's time. I mean, 45 years old, that's when things start getting a little tougher for a person, regardless of how in shape you are. I mean, Jeremy, we've talked about this before. We've talked about how Chuck Liddell came back, how all these other fighters, they could make a comeback, but either it could be hit or miss.
It's rarely a hit, and we all know this. I do not like to see, especially in MMA, I do not like to see older fighters pushing past what their shelf life should be. It's a very dangerous sport, and I don't like seeing it in any fighting. As I said, I'm anxious to see Tyson and Roy Jones, but even at that, these are two 50-plus-year-old men, and if they're in there throwing like
Tyson and Roy Jones are fighting?
Tyson and Roy Jones are fighting.
Where?
They're doing. You didn't hear about this? This is a few months ago, Lonnie.
Oh my God!
This is gonna be coming up.
Coming in November.
November, end of the month. Tyson.
It's a charity event.
Roy Jones and Tyson are stepping into the ring, and they're both taking it very seriously. They've both been training really hard, and Roy Jones gave an interview basically saying, "I think I made a very big mistake. Mike is taking this very seriously, and we all know what he's capable of. I might be a stupid man." And these guys are both.
This is a bad joke, but I would say protect those ears. No,
exactly. Seriously, but these are both very aged guys. I don't like seeing fighters come back and do this. The head trauma, the brain trauma, it is not a good thing. So seeing Anderson retire before we have to watch him go out on his back 100 times, I like seeing that. Thank God he's saving his body, and he's not going to step away from the fight game completely. He's going to train people, or he's going to commentate. He will be involved.
I mean, I can honestly say that the only person that was able to actually come back from retirement, and this is only because he was gone for less than 2 years, I guess, or less than a year, something like that, and be successful in MMA, was Randy Couture. He's the only one that I could see that retired and came back for one more fight.
Right, but as you said, it was a very brief retirement, and I think Randy was barely north of 40 at that point.
Yeah, he wasn't at Silva's age.
Right.
I mean, he's still, but I mean, Randy's also in freaking incredible shape. I mean, the guy is just a freaking machine.
Yeah, he always has been.
Yeah, he always has been. But I mean, the other one that I was kind of upset about, besides the Liddell Ortiz fight, the Chuck Liddell Tito Ortiz fight where Liddell lost, that I didn't agree for him to come back, was because, dude, the guy's been gone for 5 years, comes back, and obviously he's going to lose. He's not in shape. He's not, he's older. I mean, it's different. But the only other one besides that one was Matt Hughes versus Royce Gracie. I didn't like that. I mean, Royce Gracie was undefeated in the UFC. Why did you decide to come back? I mean, the money, okay, whatever. But I mean, you just ruined your perfect record. You retired undefeated. And granted, don't get me wrong. When he first stepped, when Royce Gracie first jumped into the UFC, none of the other fighters were all like boxers, kickboxers, what have you. None of them had experience in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or the actual mixed part of mixed martial arts. None of them actually knew that. That's why he was able to be so dominant in the UFC and why he was so undefeated. He comes back years later. So many fighters have now studied more fighting styles to the point where they were able to get Royce Gracie, and Matt Hughes was one of those fighters.
That is a big part of it. It really is the fact that everybody had a chance to start seeing what BJJ was all about. But we have to point out that early on, UFC was created specifically to showcase the Gracie's jiu-jitsu. That's the whole reason UFC was started in the first place. the Gracie's father was working with the promoters to put that all on. They specifically brought in people who didn't know this style and were not familiar with it so that they could show how superior it was over other types of martial arts. But they basically sandbagged it. I mean, Royce Gracie didn't have any real competition during that first couple of years. I mean, Shamrock had him in a little bit of trouble. You know, a couple of guys gave him a little bit of a problem for a minute, and that was about it. Because they chose people who specifically were not familiar with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
And Severn was definitely another threat too.
You know, well, Dan, but that was also now 3-4 years into it. When people, you know, a good wrestler like Dan has now seen what these guys are doing on the ground with their BJJ, and he can kind of try and alter his game to do what he can do against them. But there were plenty of people studying Valtudo and a bunch of other Brazilian styles of martial arts that incorporated BJJ and different stuff like that. And they were specifically left out of the early ones so that the Gracies would not have more competition.
So the Gracies can monopolize it.
Exactly. So as good as Royce was, I am one of the first to kind of criticize and take a little bit away and say, hey, you know, yes, he was good, but when you pick 12 fighters that you know you can beat and no fighters that could give you a problem, and you do this specifically, that takes away some of your accomplishment. I'm sorry, it does. That's you know, it's called cherry picking, and most great champions don't do that. You know, might happen earlier in your career and all that, but at some point you got to start fighting the best of the best. And he did that later on. I'm not taking anything away from how brilliant, you know, the Gracies were and how effective their jiu-jitsu is.
Well, he put on a clinic.
He absolutely did. But was he going up against the top competition at that point? Not even close.
Well, I mean, you know, that's definitely something I didn't know. Actually, I didn't know that they specifically made it to showcase the Gracie's jiu-jitsu, which that would make a lot of sense, because after that it was all about Gracie jiu-jitsu this, Gracie jiu-jitsu that. You know, it was pretty much that was the main thing. That's what definitely blew them up there. So yeah, I mean that definitely makes a lot of sense. But I mean, it's again going back to Anderson Silva. You know, in a sense, I would have wanted to at least see one more fight in him to do what every other fighter does and announce their retirement in the octagon, basically saying, you know what, I'm you know, pretty much putting up the gloves, especially such a high profile fighter as Anderson, you know, is or was. He should have at least been given the opportunity to do that and say goodbye to the crowd, say goodbye to the fans, you know. Something to that effect would have been great, but hey, you know, I mean, he's you know, he just decided to do it this way, so be it. Wish him nothing but the best, and like you said, Jeremy, I mean, we definitely won't see the last of him. He'll probably end up training somebody else.
He's got a young stage, you guys. He's like 45, but he could totally pass for all of 35.
Oh yeah, exactly. He's definitely kept himself well, and you know, again, it's one of those things where he'll probably end up training the new batch of fighters that will come in and probably also you know, want to train with him, most definitely, because they want to be winners. I mean, the guy was just unbeatable. Like there's nothing many these fighters could do to beat him, except you know, what was his name? Chris Weidman. Chris Weidman, thank you. I couldn't remember his last name, but Chris Weidman was the only one that was able to beat him. And man, I'll never forget that fight where
the injury. Yeah, dude, I was sitting at the bike.
So bad.
I was sitting at the bike down in Gardena. We're playing poker, and the fight is on in the background. Now, I don't know if you've ever been down to the bike. They have 127 poker tables on the poker floor. Every one of them filled on a weekend night. And everybody's playing, but everybody's got an eye on the fight.
Of course.
And the second Anderson threw that kick and his shin wrapped around Weidman's leg because it broke.
Wow.
A room of over 1,000 people went dead silent. You couldn't hear a chip, a breath, a nothing. It was like everything stopped.
It was so bad. I mean, I was actually at Fantasia in Burbank, local pool hall, and I was watching the fight. They have a patio outside, and we were all outside watching the fight out there. And when that happened, again, silence there, but when they did the replay in slow motion, we were like, oh my God, you hear oh throughout the entire freaking sports bar when they saw it, what happened. I mean, Lonni, you would have cringed to have seen what we saw.
It looked like a cartoon.
Oh, I know.
So
I would
bad.
cringed.
It was his entire bottom half of his leg snapped out. Completely.
He broke mid shin. It was horrific,
and it wrapped around his opponent's shin. It was so freaking horrifying to watch. It was one of the worst breaks I've seen in a very long time, and I've seen other ones too.
I have only seen 2 of that nature, and one was Ed McCaffrey, the old Denver running back or wide receiver, father of the great running back now, but he dove into the end zone, caught the touchdown, and the defensive player, he was fully vertical in the air, and the defensive player caught him in that same place, right in the shin, and his leg broke, just like Silva's did. And you saw it on, I mean, he's in the air, and you saw his leg fold up. And it was one of the most insane things I've ever seen live. And you want to talk about tough. I mean, the man didn't shed a tear. They get him on the cart, they're taking him out, and all he does is sit up, look at the fans, and give them a big thumbs up. Yeah. And then I saw a pitcher. I cannot remember his name. And this actually ended up being a really good thing. This pitcher, mid-throw, had his forearm snap.
Oof.
He's literally in the middle of his delivery, and as he releases the ball, his forearm snaps mid-forearm, and you just see it flop and fold. But in that situation, it actually turned out that he had a tumor or a leukemia or something in that spot that had weakened the bone, and it ended up saving his life.
Oh, wow.
Because they found the problem, the cancer that had caused that problem.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. Well, I mean, I actually have only seen 2 breaks that have been that bad on live television. The only other one that I remember was Tim Sylvia. He was basically being submitted in an arm bar, and he wouldn't submit until, like, you saw the close-up. It got popped. His entire forearm popped out. Like his opponent broke his arm because he wouldn't tap. Finally, when he broke it, he tapped, obviously. But the other time that I saw another break, and this one was something that I was like, no, this can't be. I was watching WWE SmackDown with a friend, and the late great Eddie Guerrero.
Eddie.
He actually went ahead and did his patented frog splash on his opponent. When he landed, his entire elbow went out of place completely. And my friend noticed it, and she was like, he broke his arm. I was like, nah, that's just wrestling. That's not real, blah, blah, blah. And like, no, look at the replay. I saw it. I was like, oh, shoot, he did break his arm. Sure enough. Yeah. Like his entire bone popped out. Like it was so weird how it popped out. And yeah, I've only seen those types of breaks like that. They're very cringeworthy to see. I'm like, oh, that's just so bad. But yeah. You know, lots of love and lots of luck to Anderson the Spider Silva. You know, wish him well. I hope that he does well in his next phase of his life. I'm sure that I mean, he's definitely Hall of Fame bound.
Oh yeah, that's not even a question.
Yeah, he definitely deserves the Hall of Fame in the UFC because the guy's a legend in the sport, one of the many legends in the sport. So, happy to hear that he's retiring at a very good age. Still a little bit late in his age because he should have retired a long time ago, but still happy that he finally decided to hang up the gloves and move forward. In other sports news, a pregnant woman runs a mile in less than 6 minutes 1 week before her due date. I mean, This young woman her name is McKenna Myler. She's 28 years old, and she runs with Valor Track Club in Orange County, California. I mean, she ran 1 mile in 5 minutes and 25 seconds while she was pregnant. Now, you know, you may ask if this is safe for a woman to do, and according to her doctors, it's perfectly safe. Her doctors went ahead and basically her doctor is Dr. Danielle Jones, and said, quote, "For my patients in general, I tell them that they can continue doing anything that they were doing before pregnancy as long as it remains comfortable and doesn't cause any pain." So, I mean, it's crazy because, I mean, well, she continues to say you don't see it a lot because most people get uncomfortable with by the third trimester and aren't wanting to run a 5-minute mile. But there's definitely people out there who can comfortably continue that in their pregnancy. So it's actually safe. I didn't think it would be. I honestly didn't think it would be because of all the shaking and, you know, the gyrating from their body when they run and everything. I didn't think it was safe, but apparently it's perfectly safe. I mean, this woman did it a week before her due date. So that's incredible to say. That actually puts me to shame because that gives me no excuse to not run. So I mean, looking at that, I'm like, yeah, there's no excuse for me to be lazy and be fat. I should be running. But yeah, no, I mean, she's apparently she wants to go ahead and represent the U.S. in the Olympics, and she didn't stop. She continued on, and she said that basically, you know, it was more weight on her. But I would think that just like anybody would wear weights on their ankles to give them more speed, I think this would kind of count as the same thing. And after she has her baby, she's probably going to run it even faster. Because this is more strength training basically for her legs, I would imagine.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's just individual from just the stories I've heard anecdotally, and then also just from science and from doctors. But didn't Serena Williams, wasn't she pregnant when she was playing the one match where she won? I don't think she was as far along, but it came out later on that she actually was expecting.
I think that was earlier this year. Because I don't think she's given birth yet, so that was recent. But yes, I did hear about that.
Yeah, Serena Williams was when her first child that she has now. When early on when she was expecting, and she won one of the big matches, if not the French Open, Wimbledon, one of those two, while she was pregnant.
I don't recall hearing that one. That's really awesome.
That's crazy. Yeah,
I can say from sorry to cut you off there. Having been around when being older when my mom had my two youngest brothers, and my friends who have been pregnant and have carried past term and had waiting to a later due date, and they're getting very aggravated that they're not going into labor yet. You know, by the time they reach their due date, most women I've known are like, please get this over with. Why isn't this kid getting out of me? I want this done. And almost every one of them I have heard from them that their doctor recommended that they take a brisk walk with 1 foot on the curb and 1 foot not, to create some extra motion and movement in the muscles and in the uterus so there's obviously some shaking that would go on there too, and it was recommended by their doctors.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, and I hate to, this is by no means any comparison, but you know, the human body, when after you eat and you go for a walk, it helps with the digestive system. And I'm not saying that a baby's the same thing, but you know, it helps. It helps because, I mean, I guess your muscles shake, they vibrate, and they tend to kind of move things inside your body to be able to get stuff out better. I mean, I'm assuming that's, I want to say it's the same thing, but it sounds similar.
Hey guys, I looked it up. Yep, Serena Williams was 20 weeks pregnant when she won the Australian Open.
When she won the Australian, that's awesome. I did not know that.
Wow.
Yep.
God, I love her even more.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yep. Well, I mean, Lonni, as a woman, what do you think about all this? I mean, what are your thoughts on women that are about to give birth? I mean, because when my mom, I'll be honest, my mom told me this story a long time ago. She said that when she was pregnant, she used to work in a factory and everything, and her boss came up to her and said, Maria, I'm not a doctor. I don't want to deliver this kid here. Please go home. Rest, take your maternity leave now. I don't want to have to deal with this, I mean, some people believe that women should go ahead and rest it out and just relax, and some people are the opposite. I mean, what are your thoughts as a woman? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have not given birth, but I'm speaking for my mom and my cousins and grandmother who had 6 kids. It's amazing what women can do. Just the power of our bodies and just what we're able to do. My mom, which this fascinates me, when she was pregnant with me, I want to say when she started, she drove herself to the hospital. While she was
Wow. That's a trooper.
Herself to the hospital. So, I mean, when she tells me that story of just the stuff that she did, that she was able to do, I'm always just fascinated by it.
That explains why you're so active.
Yeah, could be. I'm definitely very active. Although I did run a mile this morning, but I didn't run it in 5 minutes?
Yeah, 5 minutes, 25 seconds.
She has me beat.
Oh, she has me beat. My best time, the best shape I have ever been in was 7 minutes. So right. I am not a runner. My best time ever in my life was 7 minutes, and she'd beat me by a minute and a half, pregnant.
Totally.
In her third trimester. So. Okay.
You guys all have me beat by about 5 minutes and 24 seconds. Okay. I can't even run it in less than a minute. I'm already gassed out. I'm like, it's okay. Just go. Right. I'm already dying on the side on the side. I'm like that dude from The Longest Yard, the fat guy. It's like, wait a minute, where's he at? He's on the floor. He's like, you guys better not cut me from this team. And his big belly's just huffing and puffing. But yeah, I'm that guy. I'm that guy right there. But yeah, that's really admirable that that she's able to do all that. I mean, that's very, very admirable. And I sincerely hope that we get to see her in the Olympics doing what she does, because I mean, seriously, after this story, she deserves to be in the Olympics. Right. I mean, this woman is no joke. She's no excuses. She continues to train to reach her dreams, reach her goals, and she's living proof that whether or not you are pregnant, have a baby, you could still accomplish your dreams. As a woman, you could still continue to accomplish your dreams and
absolutely,
handle it, dude. Handle business, because you can. I mean, I've said it before, I say it again, I have a mad respect for women simply because of all the stuff that you women go through. I mean, you women go through so much more than men do. Right. And for men to say that women, are the weaker sex or anything like that, for some men to say that is just plain ignorant and stupid. Because women are stronger than men in so many ways. I can't go ahead and push out a child. There's no freaking way I can do. I can barely push out what I got, let alone a child. I mean, I can't handle cramps every month. Are you kidding me? Whenever I get one cramp, I'm already crying. I mean, I can't handle that stuff. You women take it like champs, and you don't complain. I mean, you complain a little bit, but not as much as a man would. A man would be like, oh God, why is this happening to me? I mean, Jeremy can attest to that.
You're so sexy.
Jeremy can attest to that. He already knows. So anyways, but major props to her. Hopefully we get to see her at the Olympics, and much luck to her and her baby that is going to be due very soon. Hopefully everything turns out well. Coming up next in video game news, Assassin's Creed Valhalla has DLC they came out with a DLC, or they're going to come out with a DLC that features Ireland and Paris. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But first, here is Riley Sawyer featuring Illijah and young Qwes, Roll Up, right here on the Xander Effect.
Tell me what you want. Pull up on you, hop your body in the bed. Roll up a ting, get high with me, baby. Roll up a ting, tell me what you want. I don't even know, but I know I got a headache, girl. Where you going with your badass? Think you got a fat ass, you should let me grab it, girl. You make it hard to get my hands to myself. Is that your man or he just somebody else? Somebody help me. Shorty, you can get your body on my ass. I just wanna get your body in my bed. Tell me what you want. Roll up a ting, get high with me, baby. Roll up a ting, tell me what you want. Damn, roll up, hold up. Yeah, turn around too, cause that ass swell up. You know I had to show love, cause when you make it bounce, that body gets 20 ounce of that Coca-Cola. Shake it up, then I watch it bubble like soda. You know it's over when I introduce you to the Cobra. Legs on my shoulders, body smoking like sour D's. So baby girl, my guess is you a ill roller. I bet it's so good, this shit'll put me in a coma. I'm a killer, you bout to catch it like this shit Corona. Baby, you a stoner, I got a lot of by your friends. And when you done, shorty, hang the phone up. Damn, shorty, take a pic, rich nigga shit. Hit a lick, spin it quick, give you back shots like I'm ignorant. Slide up inside you, you ain't believe me that I saw you like Riley. Call me a Illijah. I can't wait no more. I'll take your love if you want me to. I can't wait no more. I'll take your love if you want me to. Roll up a ting, get high with me, baby. Roll up a ting, tell me what you want. Roll up a ting, get high with me, baby. Roll up a ting, tell me what you
Who's your favorite guest to do Brown?
Hey guys, this is Ian Darren.
Hey, this is Annalise Hoveda.
Hey yo, this is Nightmare from Dirty Machine.
Hi, this is Cambry Lovesey.
Hey, this is Dovely.
And you're listening.
And you're listening.
And you're listening.
And you're listening.
And you're listening to the Xander Effect.
We gon' party. Whoa, I got your chick in my party. You know we bustin' on this party. Whoa, now niggas hatin' and I'm sorry. We be in LA, killing out. We be in New York, we be in Chi-Town.
This meet up, I'ma roll this weed up. We gon' make the people sweat. I'ma move this party, I'm the grand finale. We gon' make the people sweat. I'ma pour this liquor Sipping slowly, dipping lowly, sipping OE with a gold straw, that's OG. This club is nosy, clocking my every move. There goes that girl named Zoe, she got me in this groove. So please stop fronting. In the club we stunning, and we doing something, and y'all say yeah nothing.
We gon' party. Oh, I got your chick in my party. Oh, you know we fucking on this party. Oh, my niggas hating me, I'm sorry. Killing up. We be in LA. Killing up. We be in New York. Killing up. We be in Chi-Town. Killing up. We be in
This meet up, I'ma roll this weed up. We gon' make the people sweat. I'ma move this party, I'm the grand finale. We gon' make the people sweat. I'ma pour this liquor, let in all the strippers. We gon' make the people sweat. We be up in B.I.P. We gon' do it B.I.G. We gon' make the people sweat.
That was Obek featuring Freedom's Sweat right here on the Xander Effect. In video game news, looks like the DLC of the new Assassin's Creed that's going to be released actually in November, in early November, includes places to go as far as on the map is going to include Ireland and Paris. So that's going to be very interesting. Ubisoft went ahead and announced the roadmap for the season pass of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and it's going to include that DLC that basically goes beyond Britain and as well as a discovery tour and free seasonal updates. So this is all according to IGN.com and a story by Matt Purslow, who said, quote, "The Valhalla season pass is made up of 2 expansions and 1 exclusive quest. The Legend of Beowulf is a quest available to season pass owners on launch day and will explore the monstrous truth behind the Legend of Beowulf. The first expansion, Wrath of the Druids, will be available in spring 2021 and takes place in Ireland as Eivor tracks down a druid cult. The second expansion, coming in summer of 2021, is called The Siege of Paris and allows players to relive the most ambitious battle in Viking history as they infiltrate the fortified city of Paris." So that's actually going to be pretty cool to go ahead and check out. I mean, I'm already excited about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It seems pretty cool. I'm just a little bit upset that they keep on going further and further in the past, and which is fine. But I've always thought that Ubisoft should do an Assassin's Creed Western style, like an Old West style, in my opinion. I mean, they did kind of the American Revolution one. They've done the Industrial Revolution version of Assassin's Creed. They've done many other, the Crusades, Assassin's Creed. They've done many times, many different time periods, various time periods, but they haven't done the Old West. And that's something that I'm like, dude, you guys should really consider doing something like in the Old West, because there's hardly any Old West games out there besides, of course, Red Dead Redemption.
Well, that was going to be my point, and I think they already have such a monopoly on that market and have done it so well that I'm not sure if they want to tackle that genre right now. I'm not saying they couldn't do it well, but you got to remember, I mean, Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2,
and Red Dead Revolver.
I mean, but seriously, Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2 were such game-changing. I mean, they changed the whole genre of a Western style game, and they became, especially by the time they got to the second one, it is so immersive that what could what could Ubisoft bring to this? You know, what could Assassin's Creed add to that? I think exploring the other genres and timelines that other people haven't keeps it more interesting. That's just my take on it.
Yeah. Well, you know, you guys have definitely aroused my curiosity with it taking place in Ireland, Paris. I just think that right there is enough to like, I wouldn't mind playing.
Lonni,
absolutely.
I'm telling you.
For that time, you know, for that time period too, can you imagine getting to see the pastures of Ireland and you know, and Paris and all that kind of stuff? And if you've gotten to see any of the 2 very good shows that are available, I believe, on Amazon Prime, there's one called Vikings and there's another one called The Last King. And they are both they're just about the Viking conquests and that period of time. And there's constant delving into the France of that time period and Ireland and Scotland and the whole of Britain. And they really delve into all of it. So for Assassin's Creed to be touching on all of that is really awesome. Now you know me, I'm always the naysayer, and especially when it comes to DLC. Man, why was that not included in the first place? I mean, it's such a basic part of that story. Why was that not a part of the game to begin with?
Well, because it's money.
Exactly. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's all commercial. They have to go ahead and make money off of it. I mean, the game itself is $59.99, but with the add-ons and everything else, you're looking at close to $150, you know, for the add-ons. I mean, unless you buy the game with the add-ons, which virtually costs $150, you know, but you get a lot.
I'd rather do a spa treatment or get a new pair of shoes. Sorry.
I understand completely.
but you're not a gamer, Lonni. See, if you were a gamer, you'd understand. You definitely would understand where our point of view is. We're gamers. We play this stuff. Like it's, you know, again, you're the cool one. We're the nerds. We've established that already, you know.
And we're good with it too.
And I'm good with it. Yeah, I'm fine with it. I mean, we all have our stations in life. So we're the nerd station. It's okay. But you know, one of these days we'll bring you onto the dark side with us, Lonni. Don't worry, it's okay. It's only a matter of time before we get you addicted, and I'll just look over at Jeremy and be like, she's one of us now. So, but we're gonna go have to wait and see what happens. I mean, Assassin's Creed still hasn't been released yet. It will be released next month. And of course the DLCs won't even be released until next year, so we'll still have to wait and see exactly how that's gonna go. Speaking of DLCs, there are a few DLCs that are out right now for Halloween. Red Dead Redemption 2 actually has a Halloween season or a Halloween season pass, something like that going on right now, which includes new guns, a brand new dagger, some storylines, things like that. So that's going to be really interesting. I'm kind of upset they didn't bring back Red Dead Redemption, the Undead Nightmare. That was pretty cool. They had zombies in there and everything. But speaking of zombies, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, they do have a Halloween edition right now, which is really cool. I just played it over the weekend. Really awesome. In Warzone, they have Battle Royale, where basically you start off, the entire map is at night. It's usually daytime, but this time for Halloween, they made it at night. And if you get killed, you turn into a zombie. And man, it's so much fun being a zombie. Let me tell you, I'm like running around and I have no weapon. I'm just a monster. I have no weapon. I'm just running around, but you get special powers as a zombie. You get to jump like miles away. You have an EMP pulse that you like let out, and you get to throw gas grenades at somebody. And the thing is, if you kill one of your opponents as a zombie, your opponent has an injection that turns you back into a human again. So that's really cool about that. They have a lot of other they have plunder as well, where there's different chests all over the map that you go ahead and find different Halloween items like a gun or a watch, things like that in different spots of the map. So that's really cool that they did that as well in Call of Duty. Of course, Call of Duty Cold War comes out in a couple of weeks as well. A lot of new games coming out in November. Another game that's going to get a Halloween DLC is over this weekend. weekend, according to what I saw earlier, is Madden Ultimate Team. They have what they call I forgot the name of it. It's Most Feared. It's called Most Feared, and this is basically most feared players of NFL history, where basically you get to create packs so that way you could purchase this most feared player. And they also have different, I don't know how these solo challenges are going to be, but like last year there was some solo challenges where you actually had to complete a bunch of different tasks, and one of them included facing your own team. Now, if your own team is a 98, they go ahead and put you on the opposite end of that team with a team that's like a 76 overall. So good luck trying to beat your own team. That one was always hard for a lot of us. But who knows what they're going to do with this one. One thing I got to say...
I was going to say, if they're going to do Most Feared, I hope they have Jack Youngblood in there.
They haven't yet.
Jack Youngblood, they got to put him in. The most feared man ever. He bit a man's finger off in the middle of a game because the guy tried to claw his eyes out. They were in the middle of a pile, and the guy is, a lot of dirty stuff happened in the pile back in the 70s.
Well, they're not looking at, when they say most feared, it's not most feared of what they did on the field that. They talk about most feared.
What's the fun of that?
Well, most feared is like the most feared corner. The person that would go, that they wouldn't throw in that direction because they knew they would get a pick, or the most feared defensive tackle, the one that would shred through a line and just be able to get to the quarterback. That's what they talk about. That's what they mean when they say most feared.
No, this is Halloween. I want the other one.
Well, you're just a sadistic person. But in talking about EA, I have another gripe against Madden yet again. So this past weekend, apparently EA support is the worst that I've ever dealt with in my life. And I've dealt with a lot of support, technical supports. This one's the worst. Now, I had an issue because in Madden, you have something called solo battles. And every time you win a solo battle, they give you points. Those points you accumulate, and by the end of the week, you accumulate a certain amount of points that gets you a bunch of packs, gold coins, a bunch of things that you could use to improve your team. Well, this past weekend, something happened. Or a couple of days ago, actually, not this past weekend, but on Monday, something happened. When I was playing with a friend of mine, and he told me on his end, he's like, what the hell's going on with solo battles? Like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, I don't have my team. I don't have my original players, nothing. They gave me the crappy ones. And I'm like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. I went ahead and played. Sure enough, that's the truth. They gave me crappy players, but I was still able to beat the challenge. I actually beat the computer. I beat it. I think it was, the score was 21-14. And what ended up happening is that the game ended. Everything was done. I go and restart the game, go back, and it gave me a DNF, quote, did not finish. It didn't give me the points. It didn't give me anything. It cheated me out of those points. I go and I contact EA, and I'm online with them for literally 45 minutes arguing back and forth with this idiot that I had to deal with. And this moron kept on telling me over and over again, well, DNF means that you disconnected before the game ended. I was like, no. I explained this to him a million times. I'm like, I did not disconnect before the game ended. I saw the post stats of the other player. I saw the post handshake, whatever animations that you guys put in there. I saw everything. I did not disconnect. It went straight into the main menu of the game. So I restarted, go back, and it gave me a DNF. I mean, you need to rectify this. And they were like, we can't give wins. We have no power of giving wins. EA, the game developers of this game have no power to give its paying customers a win? You can go ahead and give us a loss, but you can't give us a win? Tell me how that makes sense to anybody. And then I asked this moron if I could go ahead and speak to a supervisor. They refused. They kept on. I'm like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I want to talk to a supervisor. oh, our supervisor has been has been told about the situation. I'm like, that's great. That's not what I asked. I asked to speak to a supervisor. Oh, we cannot do that. The supervisor already knows about. No. I want to. We went back and forth for the longest time, to the point that the person said, well, if I can't help you anymore, I'm going to have to end this conversation. And they ended it.
Wow.
I mean, what kind of customer service is that? That's the worst in the world. You know,
well, we already know that EA are, again, a bunch of greedy bastards.
Yes.
They constantly release top title games with massive bugs, unfinished programming, and everything else. They are all about the money. They do not care about their fans and the people who buy the games. They don't care. They don't care at all. They release broken games rather than taking the time to put it out. They have become a joke.
Absolutely.
If they did not have the following they have with Madden, they would have fallen apart years ago. EA has become a complete joke with what they're doing. It's every fan of this genre is pissed.
Well, I'm hoping that the developers of NFL Blitz, because I heard the developers of NFL Blitz are going to be taking over EA's contract to develop a new NFL 2K or something like that. It won't be called Madden. It will be called NFL 2K or something like that. I sincerely hope that they actually take over, because EA needs to stop developing this game. And Electronic Arts, if you're listening, you guys are an absolute disgrace into the gaming community. Absolute disgrace. To go ahead and cheat your customers like that. We pay a lot of money for this stuff. You know, for you to go ahead and give us a crappy, no, I'm actually going to use the word, a shitty product. That's how pissed I am about this.
I understand.
You know? I mean, it's stupid that they could actually go ahead and screw people that, you know, work hard for their money on a crappy game like this, on a shitty game like this. So yeah, that's my gripe for EA.
Okay, we all know you don't work hard.
We know how you feel.
Well, both. Yeah, you're both correct on that. You both bring up valid points. But anyways, yeah, so that's my gripe for EA, and that's the news in case you haven't heard it. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Xander Effect. Again, I wanted to go ahead and thank my wonderful co-host. First off, ladies first, Miss Lonni Rivera. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Again. Love having you. And I also wanted to go ahead and thank our birthday boy, Mr. Jeremy Miller. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us on your birthday.
Well, I really only showed up for Lonni. You know I don't want to spend my birthday talking to you, but, you know, Lonni was here, so I figured, you know, I'd show up.
You're a funny kind of guy, aren't you? You're so funny, this guy. I'm over here wishing you a happy, you know, 666th birthday.
Thank you.
You know, and you're and what do? You go ahead and you say that you prefer Lonni over me. That's just
well, who wouldn't?
Yeah, you're right about that. I'm going to give you that one. Anyways, thanks for both of you for being on here. Thank you everyone for listening.
Great.
And remember, there's still a pandemic out there. Remember to continue to wear your mask when you go out. Remember to wear your gloves if you got them. Goggles if you got them. Please stay safe for yourself and for your loved ones. Please remember to practice basic hygiene. Wash your hands if you've touched anything, if you're not wearing gloves. Wash your hands anyway. Just don't be dirty. Don't be like Jeremy. Don't be dirty. No, I'm just kidding.
Fastidiously clean.
Exactly. Yeah, very true. But make sure that you definitely keep yourself clean. Make sure you vote. That's very important right now, especially right now. Make sure you get out there, you register to vote. If you haven't voted already, or if you haven't registered, make sure you do both, because your vote does count. Your opinion does matter. And remember, music always heals all. We'll see you next time.
Yo, yeah. I was like open that mouth. Sure that she's talking and open that mouth. If it says something, we're going me out. And then there's something that's stopping it out. And then it's got it, part of it, stopping it out. Jumping and rapping, we got it. And then we running, we go loud. And then say something, we open it out.
The Xander Effect is powered by 50/50 Global Music Inc., Sony Music The Orchard, and BMG Bertelsmann. In association with Art 19 Media.